I would like to say that success does not happen overnight. It's a long journey. There are many ups and downs. We should not be overwhelmed by the challenges that we face. We just have to focus on growth. So even if on one test you do not get a nice rank or score, don't look at that absolute rank. Just focus on progress. Try to learn from your mistakes and do better and better each time. And discipline is very important from the start itself. One must be disciplined and consistent and never be too hard on yourself. All the best.
We all know how difficult it is to get something right, but getting something right in the first attempt is even more difficult. आज मगर हमारे साथ जो topper है, she is, I could say, had a hat trick in getting things right in the first attempt. 2017 में उन्होंने NEET and AIIMS UG दोनों को crack किया था in her first attempt with ranks as good as rank 20 and 34. And that was not all. She went through the entire course of the AIIMS Delhi. And finally, उन्होंने दिया अपना INI CET और इसमें she achieved a single digit rank of All India rank 7. Everyone, I am super happy because this is the first time I'm meeting a topper again on our sets here, and this time I am welcoming her as Dr. Vanshika Arora. Everyone, let's welcome her. Hi Vanshika.
Hi.
Welcome back to the show. I think you are the only one that I can say this. Welcome back to the show.
Thank
How
you.
does it feel? कुछ यादें आ रही है from the last interview?
Yeah, it's just totally recreated.
So I think honestly speaking, जब when I see this entire journey, when I got to know also, then the team informed me कि Vanshika scored this rank and she's coming over, and I was like super excited कि ये पहली topper है. Like I think you were one of our first toppers on the show. Which is why I remember each of you so well, and like now with all the success in these 5 years, you've managed to tread through AIIMS Delhi में. That's again हमारे बहुत सारे UG aspirants का dream college. तो सबसे पहले तो मुझे ये बताइए, see I'm not going to ask you how you're feeling. मुझे पता है you're on top of the world right now. आप मुझे ये बताओ, this entire journey that you had, this amazing journey of AIIMS Delhi में 5 years. How do you think it has changed you from that Vanshika who we met when you cleared AIIMS as your UG?
So it's been a long journey with lots of ups and downs, but I've had a lot of fun, I feel. And I've become very mature, I feel, in a lot of aspects.
You have.
The first year I got a little tensed because there's a vast change of syllabus from what we study in 11th, 12th to what we study as medical students. So I was overwhelmed by the big textbooks and all. So yeah, my seniors and my parents were very supportive and they helped me through my first mid-sem exams. After I cleared my mid-sems, I was just wishing to pass. I passed with like around 65-70% and I was super happy, and then I knew how to study basically. So I ended up topping my end semester exams, and then after that I was chill with my studies and I tried to achieve a study-party balance.
Okay.
So these 5 years have been really amazing. I have been on a lot of trips with my friends. I think I'm blessed in that sense because I've had a very good supportive set of friends in my college. We've been to so many places together, and then we celebrate everyone's birthdays very nicely. Like the rest 10 of us, we give the birthday person a treat outside. Okay. So I think that study party balance is extremely important because we live college life only once. So I would suggest this to all of you that just apart from studies, we should focus on having a lot of fun as well.
So you said a very great thing, जब आपने कहा कि studies and party balance, study party balance. So I think this is one thing जो we hear from everyone. AIIMS Delhi में घुसते ही, I know all of you all have so many parties, your seniors do so many things for you all the fachas. तो अभी मुझे ये बताइए जो study party balance, since you have cracked the code, तो teach it to all our UG aspirants जो अभी शायद AIIMS Delhi के लिए try कर रहे हैं, or any other medical colleges that they are trying to get into, because the journey is quite the same, right? 11-12 में आप लोग सब काफ़ी restricted होके सिर्फ पढ़ाई कर रहे होते हो, and then once you get into college, you get into that freedom. There is a lot of times जब आप थोड़ा गलत भी जा सकते हो. So ये जो balance की बात आपने कही, the study party balance, why don't you crack the code for us? How do the students keep up the study party balance?
So I believe the key to this is consistency. I am not someone who studies for long duration every day. I tried studying for 3-4 hours daily, except 1 month before the exam when we had to study 10-12 hours a day. So like if I know we have a party scheduled for the evening, then I'll make it a point not to do any other recreational activity during the evening or not take an afternoon nap. And I made it a point to complete whatever part I had set in my mind, like for tomorrow's lecture, I would complete it by 6 o'clock and then we would get ready and go for party. So I think that is it, that we have to study little by little daily.
ग्रेट. तो आपने कभी ऐसे कुछ शेड्यूल बना के रखा था दैट ये है मेरा वीकली शेड्यूल, इतने दिन में पार्टी कर रही हूँ, इतने दिन में पढ़ाई कर रही हूँ, और जब मैं पार्टी कर रही हूँ तो ये नहीं होगा, सो दैट दे डोंट ओवरलैप वन अनदर, ऐसा कुछ सोचा था?
Actually, it depended on the birthdays of my friends, so they were the most party. Those days we used to party a lot. So the rest of the days I used to make it a point to revise the syllabus which was going on in the college. Like I was quite regular with my classes, at least for the first 2 years. Then we had the COVID lockdown. So I used to make it a point to revise what was taught from the standard textbooks and try to concise my own notes from there.
Great. So you actually brought in a very good point. COVID, the entire time when that happened, I think आप शायद अपने MBBS के बीच में थे, right? Almost in the mid of your MBBS.
Yes, third
year. So
I
do know that there were a lot of, we read about a lot of news also where students were also being expected to do a lot to contribute, right? So उस time में did you also have like a lot of things that you all had to get involved in, or were you all still allowed to just be studying at that time?
We were not interns. The interns were expected to do extra COVID duties, so my seniors were doing it. So since we were still UGs, we were just expected to attend the online classes on YouTube.
Okay, but I think काफी irritate हो गए हो क्या at that time? I've heard from a lot of our students जो कहते हैं कि that entire period, when you're away from college, from friends, you're literally wanting to get back. वो feeling आई थी?
Initially, we had a lot of fun. Like we don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to wake up in the morning. We can stay at home, do what we like. But yeah, as the lockdown extended, we did get a little bit frustrated. We did find our own ways. We had group video calls every 2-3 days. We played games online together. So all this we did.
चलिए ग्रेट. तो अब मुझे एक चीज़ बताइए, बिकॉज वी नो दैट INI CET में भी जो आप अपने अपीयर कर लिया है अभी, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल नाउ यू आर द प्रो हियर, यू हैव गिवन योर टिप्स, आपकी सारी टिप्पणी स्ट्रैटेजी आपके UG के लिए, विच आई एम श्योर so many students and aspirants have benefited from. Now you're here as a pro for the PG part of it. तो हम बहुत सारी बातें करने वाले हैं. You need to dissect everything so that जितने भी learners आपको अभी watch कर रहे हैं, who look up to you as a role model, they get to know as much as they can. पर उस पर सबसे पहले आने के पहले what I want to understand, because I do know कि ये PG की जो तैयारी आप लोग करते हो इस examination की, it happens all through your MBBS, right?
Yes.
And it's quite a long time, ये 5 years that you need to give, because फर्स्ट ईयर में तो काफ़ी लोग, जैसे आपने भी कहा, यू आर जस्ट प्रेइंग कि कुछ करके यू पास योर सेमेस्टर्स. एंड आई थिंक अभी रिसेंट भी जितने भी टॉपर्स से मैंने बातें की है, ऑल ऑफ देम मेंशन हाउ दे आर नाउ लाइक मिड में. दे आर नॉट टॉपर्स ऑफ द क्लास, दे आर नॉट बैक बेंचर्स ऑफ द क्लास, बट मिड में है. सो टेल मी this understanding कि I need to prepare for my PG, I need to get serious. When did it really sink in? How did you tune yourself to, probably auto-tune into, अब मुझे पढ़ाई भी करनी है, ये 5 साल, this is how I'm going to divide. When did that happen? When did you start your complete preparation for PG?
So the first 2 years we were just interested in passing the exam. But I made it a point to read all my textbooks thoroughly so that I can easily revise it when I start preparing for the exams. In third year, actually, when the COVID lockdown came, we had enough time to think about how to plan our future. So that was the time when I had to choose between USMLE and PG, Indian PG exams. So after a lot of debate and discussing with my seniors and parents, I decided to give the first attempt as my Indian PG exams.
Okay.
So that's when I joined a lot of online platforms and I used to watch videos and complete my notes for the clinical subjects. Okay. So in the third year, in the lockdown itself, I completed most of the clinical subjects, sparing a few minors, which I studied in my 4th year. Okay. And then focused MCQ study, I started from internship in February this year.
Okay, understood. So अब let's get back to the exam. Okay, एक चीज़ आप हमें बता दीजिए, like just now you mentioned that third year is when you seriously thought कि okay, now I need to start off my preparation. Yes. So let's break it down from say third year itself. So that means your PG preparation was a 2-year preparation? Third, fourth and fifth, 3-year preparation?
Third, fourth and internship.
So तीन सालों की, right?
Yes.
So if you can just give us a little bit of a breakdown कि ठीक है third year के इस महीने से I started, this is what I did first, and if you just chalk us a little bit of like a pathway, ये जो 5 years का आपका रहा है from third till your 5th के end till the examination, it's really going to help.
So actually I did not make any timetable myself because it was quite a long journey. So I used to use my college schedule only to help me study the subjects. Okay. So we had like our postings were conducted online then. We had lectures online on Zoom, on YouTube. So whatever deadline they used to give, I used to complete the subject accordingly. Okay. So like for all minors, we had around 1 week to complete, and we had assignments also given to us, group assignments and all. And for the majors, about 2 months it used to take.
Okay.
So I think I covered obs-gynae, medicine, surgery, and a few minors in that year only.
Okay.
Then next year we had village posting in the 4th year, where I completed my CCM. I covered my CCM in the village posting of 1.5 months that we had, and then the minor subjects we had physical postings were conducted to compensate for the COVID loss, and that I again revised alongside those postings. So the first and second year I started in internship itself. So I was in D batch in my internship, and our internship started from 1st February 2022, and the first 3 months I was posted in village, and I decided to complete the first and second prof subjects there only. And after that I completed revision of the clinical subjects, since I had just revised them for my final professional exams, and about beginning of August to mid of August I completed my first reading of all the subjects from an MCQ point of view. I had annotated all my primary notes. Then till September I completed the first revision. In October I did the second revision, and the last 10 days of November I did the third revision.
Okay. And ये exam आपने कहा कि it happened in November, right?
13 November.
13 November for 2022.
This year, yes.
Perfect. So technically आपका third year, fourth year and fifth year is what you contributed towards preparing for this exam.
Yes.
Now if you can just tell me again कि total जो ये 3 years आपने दिए भी है, how many total subjects were there for you to cover? Because UG में we all know there were like 3 subjects,
yes,
which is the basic सबके लिए. So इसमें भी if you can just give us an understanding कि how many subjects were there, and you know depending on जैसे कि अभी आपने कहा, right, you finished a few in the first year, then the second year, then the third year you finished everything. So if you can just give us a breakup of what were the subjects that you were covering.
There are 19 subjects in MBBS. So the first prof subjects are Anat, Physio and Biochem. The second prof subjects are Path, Pharma, Micro and Forensic. And then the third prof, in AIIMS we do not have third and fourth separately. We just have a combined third prof for all the clinical subjects and their associated minors.
Okay.
So the first and second prof subjects are the ones that I covered in the first 3 months of internship, because the other clinical subjects I had already got my annotated notes for prof preparation.
Okay. तो अगर आप थोड़ा सा हमें ये भी बता सको कि द फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड प्रॉफ्स जो आप बता रहे हो उसका प्रेपरेशन जो था, what books did you use, what notes did you use, anything as specific, if you can just help us with the resources for these.
Like for anatomy I watched Ashwini sir's videos, and for biochem I mainly used First Aid. And First Aid is a book for USMLE Step 1 preparation, so I feel that gives biochem in like only 60 pages, so it's very easily revisable.
Okay.
For physio I used Marrow notes, and for pharma I used GRG sir's notes. I had attended his class offline in my second year itself.
Okay.
And for path I used Marrow notes, and I had read Robbins thoroughly 3 to 4 times in my second prof, so I just flipped through the images as well.
Okay.
For micro I again used Prep Ladder, and for forensic I also used Prep Ladder.
Okay. So that covers all your profs.
First and second prof.
Okay. After that.
Clinical subjects I did mainly from Marrow itself.
Okay, but फिर भी अगर like suppose if someone is reaching out to you and saying कि मैम मुझे तो वो नहीं हो रहा है मुझसे, मैं मैरो में नहीं पहुंच पा रहा, so what else can I reach out or refer to for my preparation? So what would you suggest?
So yes, Marrow is really vast. So for people who have less time left for their exam, I would suggest to use First Aid, USMLE First Aid. So it gives the first and second prof subjects in a very concise manner. That is, you should annotate the previous year questions there itself. So it is a very nice source of revision for these two profs. For the clinical subjects, you can watch revision videos on any online platform and use their revision notes itself if you don't have time to make your own notes. So that will suffice along with the previous year questions, which is very important for INI CET especially.
Okay. So एक चीज़ मुझे बताइए, since you mentioned the previous year questions, how many previous years ago should the aspirants even be going back to?
I had solved papers from 2015.
So around 7 years.
Yes.
And what do you feel जब आपने पेपर दिया था अपना, how many of what percentage was questions that really came from the PYQs?
Actually, this was the first time when we had the exam conducted in 2 shifts, morning and evening shift.
Okay.
So as I was in the evening shift, my friends told me in the morning shift there were about 50 plus questions repeated out of 200.
Wow.
And in my shift, I think there were around 10 to 15 questions repeated. So stat question repeats, these are the stat repeats. Apart from that, the topics are obviously definitely repeated every year. So it is more important, rather than just solving the questions and learning their answers, that you focus on the topic conceptually, go back to your notes and read that topic thoroughly.
Okay. So अब हमें ये भी बता दीजिए, like since we are talking about the examination, what is the exact structure of the examination? Say for the ones who are still preparing for UG, but थोड़ा time निकाल के सुन रहे हैं आपकी interview की PG में भी मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा. So just if you could tell us a little bit about what's the structure of the examination, कितने parts होते हैं, what's the marking structure, negative marking के बारे में अगर आप कुछ बता सको.
So it's an online exam, computer-based test, and there are 200 questions to be attempted in 180 minutes. So here time is a very important factor, and INI CET usually has very long stem questions. So we have to be very quick. The questions do not come subject-wise, they're all a mixed bag, integrated questions. There are a lot of image-based questions nowadays. Sometimes they even give videos, they were given in the previous exams.
Okay.
So we have to be prepared for all sort of questions. And one has to be very fast while solving. Like you can directly read the last line of the question instead of reading the entire stem to know what they're asking. Okay. And there are a lot of questions where they ask all are true except. So it's very important to read those lines also correctly. This time in the first shift we had a question where they asked all are false except. So there are a lot of tricky questions like that. So reading the question, using your presence of mind is really important for the exam. And you have to spend less than a minute on each question then.
ओके तो यू नो आई नो ऑब्वियसली आप लोग आपने इन द पास्ट जब आप एम्स आपने क्लियर किया था नीट यूजी भी क्लियर किया था यू ऑलरेडी हैड दैट ट्रेनिंग ऑफ हाउ टू आंसर क्विक राइट बिकॉज एट दैट टाइम ऑल्सो यू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस टू आंसर यहाँ पे भी देयर आर 200 क्वेश्चंस 180 मिनट्स करेक्ट सो इस पे भी लाइक आई नो यू डिड हैव दैट स्किल बट फिर भी लाइक यू नो फॉर ऑल द अदर्स इवन से द यूजी एस्पिरेंट्स हु आर स्टिल यू नो प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर देयर यूजी एग्जामिनेशन आप क्या सजेस्ट करोगे हाउ कैन दे बिल्ड अप आई नो यू मैंशन अबाउट सॉल्विंग अ लॉट ऑफ प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस बट बिल्डिंग दैट स्पीड विद एक्यूरेसी उसके लिए हाउ व्हाट वुड यू सजेस्ट व्हाट कैन दे डू
So I attempted multiple GTs. So one should take a GT every 2 weeks towards the end of last 1 month of the exam. That helps you build your speed, and you should review all the questions, especially the wrong ones, why you got them wrong. And here the strategy is that one has to be very aggressive in the approach to the paper. You have to attempt at least 185 questions, preferably 190 plus, because the scoring is like +1 -1 by 3. So if you're able to eliminate 2 options, you must mark that question. And I would also suggest not to mark questions for review because you won't have time in the end to review them and they all will be left blank. And also, if you flag a question, you must remove that flag because those questions are not considered in your final score.
अंडरस्टूड तो एक चीज़ बताइए लाइक यू नो जैसे कि यूजी में आई नो ऑल ऑफ यू ऑल हैड मेंशन हाउ यू ऑल यूज्ड टू डू one go at the paper then the second go you know second में check कर लेते थे as you mentioned we won't get time for in this right so फिर भी like if I had to ask you like how much time do you think you really spent on each of your questions on average what would it be?
Initially, I was taking about 1 minute per question, so I realized that I have to hurry up even further. So all the one-liner questions I attempted quick, and then the long stem questions, as I told, I started with reading the last line, eliminating options, because there are a lot of questions where there are multiple options correct. So like they have combinations of A, B, C, D correct, A, B, C correct, B, C, D correct. So if you rule out, if say I ruled out that A option is incorrect, so I will not mark, I'll eliminate all the options containing A. So that's how you have to be quick in your questions. And I did not mark any question for review as my seniors suggested. I made 2 columns in the, you get your admit card as the rough sheet. Behind that you can do rough work. So I made 2 columns, one for the questions I have never heard about. So I'm not going to attempt those questions. And the other column is for lengthy questions, which if I review, I'll be able to solve it. I'm not able to read it in the first go.
Okay.
So, and here also you should not leave more than 10, 12 questions. I had around 4 questions in the column where I would not review. They are very tough questions. And I had around 8 questions in the other column. So out of the 8, I got a chance to review 6 of them and I marked answers for them in the end. Like I saved 5 minutes in the end for doing this.
Amazing. So I know Vanshika ने बहुत fast बोला है बहुत कुछ. So I will just quickly repeat this for you all. No, it's completely fine. So what I understood from you know her strategy also is that जब उनको question paper मिली, just like you know UG के time की तरह you cannot afford to go second time, third time onto your paper again. So what she was really doing is what she was creating 2 columns. एक column है जहाँ उनको पता है definitely इस question के बारे में कभी मैंने कुछ सुना ही नहीं है. So it's no point even trying to attempt it. And the second column for her were questions which were a little long and she knows that she will have to reread it and probably she can clear it if she rereads it with giving a little more time. So what she was trying to do यहाँ पे is you know second column के through she was just trying to put the questions which are really long over there so that it doesn't kill her time. She can really go and finish all the shorter questions faster and come back to this. Okay, तो जैसे कि आपने कहा कि आपके first column में there were about 4 questions जो आपको एकदम ही नहीं आते थे. Second column में around 7 to 8 you said, right? So that means कि there were many questions जो आपको आती थी, right? So ये again like इस पे स्पीड जो आपने बिल्ड की, एक्यूरेसी बिल्ड की, यू हैव बीन मेंशनिंग क्वाइट अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स दैट योर सीनियर्स हेल्प्ड यू अ लॉट.
Yes.
Would you like to mention a few seniors who probably did great in their attempts also, who were helping you in your preparation?
So I would like to mention Dr. Sanil, Dr. Ankush, Dr. Sukriti and Dr. Ashwari. They have guided me very well throughout my internship, and they have helped me basically every step, telling me the sources from where they prepared the subjects. Even one day before the exam when I was very anxious, I called few of them to ask the paper attempting strategies and all. So I'm very thankful to all of them.
Chalo, nice. So I think this is exact, and I think this is something which we've always heard about, that at AIIMS Delhi, you know, you'll have a very close knit,
Yes.
you know, family kind of behavior जो वहाँ पे चलता है. All the seniors are always helping the juniors in cracking their exams. अब आप कर रहे हो for your juniors. I'm sure your juniors are now looking up to you
Yes.
for help. Okay, so tell me this, you know, INI CET है, and there is also NEET PG, right? So tell me this कि आप, you know, अगर थोड़ा बहुत, अगर for all the learners or audience who don't know much about these examination, can you give us a little understanding कि दोनों exams जो है कौन से colleges के लिए mainly you know, admissions के लिए होती है, and when you were making a decision also, did you even decide to give a NEET PG, or did you which I know you didn't, but you know, how can they decide you know, whether they should prepare for both, उनको एक के लिए करना है, and what would you suggest? Is it good to just prepare for one, or you should prepare for both?
So INI CET is for admission to AIIMS, all the AIIMS, PGI and JIPMER,
Okay.
and NIMHANS as well. And for all the other colleges, there is NEET PG exam. So since I am very attached to my institute, I had always dreamt of only writing INI CET, and even if I wouldn't have cleared this attempt, I would give the re for this exam in May itself. So I never aimed for NEET PG as such, but it's totally an individual choice. People want to stay in their college itself. Some people want to go back to their home state, and since I'm from Delhi only, so this was the best decision for me to continue to stay in AIIMS Delhi.
So I think आप, क्योंकि you were already at AIIMS Delhi, it made quite a lot of sense to prepare for this, because AIIMS
Yes.
PG भी वहीं करोगे, you love your you know, your campus and all of that, so you
Yes.
feel more comfortable there. But जैसे कि for the other learners, right, maybe they are studying their MBBS in some other colleges, and now
Yes.
they are planning to prepare for their PG examinations. तो I'm sure आपको already इसके बारे में knowledge होगी, इसलिए I'm asking you that what's the kind of you know, difference in terms of syllabus or in terms of preparation जो दोनों exam में लगती है. So if say I was an aspirant right now who's not from AIIMS Delhi, but I want to prepare for both the examinations,
Yes.
is it possible? What's the kind of you know, balance I have to maintain? कितना different रहता है, and how much time do you get between each?
So you can obviously prepare for both the exams together. Right now for the aspirants, I suggest they should focus on NEET, since the date is already announced. It's on 5th March. So they can go for NEET PG preparation, and the subjects, all 19 subjects are asked in both the exams. The major difference is that INI CET focuses on the first and second prof subjects more. 60% is from the first, second year, and only 40% are clinical subjects. The reverse ratio is followed in NEET PG.
Okay.
And the previous year questions are again more important for INI CET than they are for NEET PG.
Okay. So like you know, जब आप, I'm sure कि आपने NEET PG के भी previous year questions देखे होंगे,
Yes.
INI CET का भी देखा होगा. In terms of difficulty level, which one do you think you know, was more difficult from the previous year questions?
INI CET is obviously more difficult, and they ask more in-depth stuff, more research-related stuff is also asked compared to NEET PG, which asks more of stat questions, one-liner questions.
That's a great point that you just made. I think this was one of the major differences जो पहले हम NEET UG and AIIMS UG
Yes.
exam के बारे में भी बातें करते थे, right? That NEET UG focuses more on this on more of the theoretical, statistical stuffs, and AIIMS with more of getting into research, getting
Yes.
it, you know, analyzing the question.
More integrated questions, like NEET will give you a history, clinical history, and they'll just ask you the diagnosis. In AIIMS exam, what we make a diagnosis while reading the question, but they ask something else only. They'll ask what drug is contraindicated in this disease. So it's like a very integrated question. Double step thinking is required.
Good. So do you think कुछ हद तक, क्योंकि आपने AIIMS UG की तैयारी की थी, it helps you in your you know, INI CET CET preparation? Do you think it helps? Because there are many students now, like you know, after with the new change and all of that, who've only prepared for NEET. They've not prepared for AIIMS UG. So do you think वो कुछ edge आप लोगों को मिलता है because you are prepared for AIIMS UG? So maybe you know, the way of thinking.
Not that much, only slightly in the form of paper attempting strategy, because assertion reasons, match the following, true and false, these type of questions are again repeated in INI CET more compared to NEET PG. But ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. I think everyone can acquire that skill during MBBS if you practice a lot of questions. So many online platforms are available, so everyone can do it if you give enough time to it.
Great. And now I just wanted to understand कि अभी आपने obviously PG के लिए you have got such an outstanding rank, you've got your single digit. Let's go back to, I still remember the first time when I had asked you why did you always want to take up MBBS? And you mentioned to me that yeah, because that gives me an opportunity to meet new people instead of sitting in front of a computer if I was to do engineering. So is the thought still the same after these 5 years, or has something changed?
No, it's the same. I really like human interaction, and the treating patients, saving lives. I find it much more interesting than doing just a technical job on a computer.
And obviously you have your mom as your inspiration.
Yes, my mom is an ophthalmologist and she's always inspired me.
Great. So abhi, like, what is the reaction of mom and dad? Pehle I'm sure they were very proud of you anyway, and ab to aur bhi zyada ho gaya.
And they are extremely happy, and now they feel that now I'm settled.
Did they give you any special gift for getting this? Did you get a treat from them?
Yes, I got a treat and they've ordered a ring for me.
Oh wow, a ring. That's great. Ab mujhe bataiye, now that you have cleared the examination, what's the field that interests you? And एक बार जब आप वो बता दो, my next follow-up question to that वो भी मैं बता ही देती हूँ. If you can give a little bit of understanding to all our aspirants who are watching, that what are the different kind of fields which they could also look into, and अगर कोई choose भी कर रहा है, suppose if someone, that choice, making a choice is also a very difficult part, right? Sometimes
very difficult.
People don't have the right people to guide. Just say, I know you still have family, you have your seniors who are helping you, but there are many people who don't have that correct guidance. तो उनके लिए भी आप क्या बताओगे in terms of all the options available? What are the kind of people who would do better in some compared to the other? So if we start first with your choice.
So I have interest in a lot of subjects actually, but pediatrics interests me the most. Since my third year after my pediatrics posting, I have aspired to become a neonatologist. But now there are a lot of options. I'm still thinking, so I'm not finalized my branch yet. But I'm sure I'm going to take a clinical branch. So for those who like treating patients, I think they should go for a clinical branch. And even the pre-clinical subjects, paraclinical subjects are a great career option for those who want to stay in academics or research and they are not very interested in the patient treating part. So that I think one can make a choice, more informed choice during internship, during your postings. So if you like that kind of work, ward work, OPD work or not. Then again, the next thing we should consider is whether we like OTs more or whether we like just OPD work more. So then you can decide between a surgical and a non-surgical branch. Like I am not very thrilled by OT setups and all, so I always wanted to take a medical branch only. So I think that will help you decide, and further it's internship which will make you make a choice definitely.
Great. Since you mentioned internship, I know that there is an eligibility requirement of internship to be completed, right? For appearing for the PG examination.
Yes.
That's a 1 year that you need to complete internship?
Yes, 12 months.
Correct. So now if thoda sa, since you've already mentioned internship, and we also got to understand that internship ke dauran hi a lot of people can actually understand ki what's the field that they could do well in, right? So thoda bahut if you can take us through your internship journey, what happened, where were you placed, the village posting, us sab ke bare mein thoda sa if you can tell us.
I think the village posting is always going to be the most memorable posting that I've had till now. My internship is still going on, 2 months are left. Okay. So the first 3 months I was posted in the village. I was in batch D. So initially I had PHC posting. I was posted in PHC Chesa. So the first day we were just overwhelmed because we just wrote our final profs and now we were supposed to write OPD prescriptions. But that feeling of signing your first prescription is just great. And we had 24-hour emergency duties as well. So that's when I felt like, okay, this is what I took MBBS for. I totally felt like a doctor. So we used to have calls every 5-10 minutes by emergency patients. They used to be dog bite cases, labor cases. Conducting deliveries alone again is a very exciting experience. Then I was posted in PHC Dayalpur. There also we learned a lot of stuff, suturing wounds and all, giving injections, IM injections, placing an IV line. And then I had Ballabgarh posting for 1.5 months. That is a CHC in Faridabad. There again, I think conducting deliveries was the most exciting part. I was so excited rather that after my village posting, I planned to take up obs gynae.
Okay. But obviously that all changed
that
later
changed.
on. So, and now like you said, there are 2 months or bhi baki hai aapke internship. What's the last duties that you all need to perform towards the end of your internship?
It depends on your batch. So like my batch has got medicine posting for December and half of January, and the remaining 15 days of January I have another surgery posting. I've had part of my surgery posting before as well.
Okay, so tell me this, we've heard a lot of stories about the first year, जब MBBS आप start करते हो, there are always someone or the other in that batch who faints, right? In the initial first year. Up to, I'm sure you'll have got pro at it, you'll have seen it too many times. But tell me your personal journey, how comfortable were you right in the beginning to see things like that, and अब क्या difference आ चुका है?
I was very anxious in the beginning. I thought it is very difficult to pass because like in 11th, 12th, we are all toppers and we aim at getting full marks in all these small tests that are conducted in the class. So here it is difficult to adjust to the fact that now you cannot aim for a 100% score. 50% is what everyone wants. So our seniors marked our books actually. BTR topics and everything, so we used to get marking done before the exam and we used to read only those topics, and about 80% of the paper, rather more than that, comes from that marking only. So I was very scared for the mid-semester exam, but once I cleared that, then I believed in the fact that it's easy to pass.
Great. So now tell me this, that ab jab this entire journey has completed, you will be starting off your PG now. Tell me this, that how important do you think has been this entire journey, and is journey mein how much, like every year whatever you'll learn, we know that AIIMS Delhi has a lot of great facilities and बहुत सारा research आप लोगों को उसमें involve होते हो आप लोग. So what do you think this entire 5 years that you have gone through? I'm sure you already had a lot of expectations when you were joining AIIMS. Now tell me how much of that is like completed, or do you think कुछ रह गया है that you still want to achieve?
No, I think my college met all my expectations. I am very happy with my institute. I love this place, and there was something new to learn every day only. The clinical postings are conducted very nicely. The residents are all very friendly, always ready to teach, and even in COVID, all our faculty switched to YouTube to teaching us, so our studies aren't compromised. Whatever clinical postings we missed, they were conducted after the lockdown, short duration, so that we get clinical exposure and we can develop an interest in the subjects. And I also liked quizzing a lot, so Sankeet's ranked 2 in this exam. He was always my quizzing partner, so we've been to multiple quizzes together. We even went to Malaysia for a physiology quiz, and we also went for IAP pediatrics quiz and many other quizzes in between. I also participated in dance fests and fashion shows conducted, inter-batch and intra-batch competitions. So I think it's a very nice life, an amalgamation of study, party, everything.
Chali, and if I had to ask you that, now that you've gone through the entire 5 years, if I had to ask you, for all our UG aspirants who are still trying to get into, clear the exam first of all and then get into the college, what are some of the skills apart from the studies jo wo kar hi rahe hai, what are the kind, few skills that you think if they start developing abhi is going to help them later on too, even like say during college and even say later on as in the profession too? What would you suggest?
I think the skill is that we should not be afraid of people judging us. So initially I was very afraid of what others think. So this is one thing, if you conquer earlier, it will help you later in life. So don't bother about what people are saying, as long as you're not harming anyone and you're doing the right thing, your parents are telling you that it's right, just go for it.
Great. And any extracurricular activities that you think if they get, I know you said you loved quizzing, so anything else that you think which you could suggest which could be great as additions for them later on?
That is totally a personal choice. What are your hobbies? Like I love writing poetry, so whenever I'm stressed or I feel low, I write poems and all. So I did that. I used to take part in swimming also, dancing. So
I think you actually mentioned a great point, because you mentioned that you used to use this whenever you were very stressed.
Yes.
Coming back to that point, which we all know is a reality. ऐसा नहीं है कि ऐसा होता नहीं है, right? So if you can tell us a little bit about this entire journey, if you also had your low points, and if you did, how did you tackle that? What did you do, and what would you suggest to ones who are maybe even trying to attempt their UG right now and उनको बहुत irritation, frustration हो रही है, they are getting stressed कि ये ही नहीं हो पा रहा है. What would you suggest to them? What would you do and what would you give as a guidance?
So I know it's a very long journey. Every day is not the same. There are days when we feel very low. So apart from writing poetry, I always used to talk to my parents and friends, and I used to listen to music, take a walk or anything like that, whatever chills you out. So I think it's best to talk about it. You should have a good support system.
Okay. And support system जैसे कि आपने mention किया, again I'm coming back to the questions because these are the kind of problems जो हमारे learners हमारे comments में भी लिखते हैं. And guys, we read everything, so if you do have any other issues that are coming up, feel free to write it on the comments below, because हम Vanshika से if needed 10 बार और बातें करेंगे to get the answers to those questions. I'm sure Vanshika has always been someone who's up for helping all of you all. So I'm sure if you all have questions, she will be more than happy to guide you.
Yes, I would like to add, I've recently started an Instagram page by the name of
Well, you
Lazy
can just
Med.
give it to the camera themselves. You can give them the message.
By the name of Lazy Med, LAZYY_MED. So I'm posting PG related queries and I'm answering doubts over there. So if you like, you can check it out and follow.
Perfect. So that is Vanshika for you. And अगर आपकी preparations ही अभी तक शुरू नहीं हुई है या आप डगमगा रहे हो उसमें, remember that Unacademy has its courses for preparing you for NEET UG. So check out the ad with trailer which is coming up right now, and there's link in the description. You can find more information and study from the best educators of India.
Have you not figured out how to study biology for the pre-medical exams? Well, I have been there in that place, but come out of it to realize that you can enjoy the subject too. And I can show you how you can do the same. Understand the fundamentals and become a master in biology. Over the course of 1.5 years, I have helped over 100 students clear the pre-medical exams. Learn with me and you will be able to score 340 plus in biology. I am Pranav Pundarik and I teach live for pre-medical exams on Unacademy Plus.
Cool. So Vanshika, आप मुझे ये चीज़ बताइए that now with all of this that has happened, you also mentioned something great, you know, stress and all को कैसे deal करना है. You also shared where can they reach out to you. एक चीज़ अब जो मुझे समझना है आपसे that now that this entire process is completed, what do you see as your future? अभी अगर मैं आपसे पूछूँ, UG में अगर मैं 5 years बाद आप अपने आप को कहाँ देखते हो? If I was to ask, this would be the situation. Now if I was to ask you 5 years from now, where does Vanshika see herself?
So I'm still finalizing my branch. So depending on that, I have planned to open my own private practice and treating as many patients as possible. That's it.
Great. So एक चीज़ मुझे बताइए, because this is something which has always made me very curious, because जब आप लोग first year start करते हो, you all are like, just out from school, everything is just theoretical knowledge, and then you start learning on the go. And while you are learning, I think this is one of the one of the only professions where you are learning and you are doing it the entire time, right? It's not that आप just books से पढ़ रहे हो and all of that, and execution end में आएगी, right? You're not waiting for a placement to start your execution. Your execution happens while you're studying. So tell me this, that with all of this now done, if you were to go back and probably change anything in your preparation phase or in the choice of your college, so I know you love it, so you wouldn't change that, but anything in your preparation phase, any mistakes that you feel starting from your UG preparation till now, any mistakes on the way that you have made which you could probably go and undo?
I think I did not make nice notes of first and second year. I focused more on note making from my third year because that's when I thought of writing the PG exam properly. So in first year itself, I used to read all the standard textbooks, but I used to highlight there, but that is not very easy to revise towards the end. So if you have this in mind that you have to write the PG exam later on, it's better to make your own notes while reading the textbooks because we have enough time during the first and second year.
Okay. तो अभी जैसे कि आपने मेंशन किया कि फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड ईयर में आप ज़्यादा नोट्स नहीं बना रहे थे, राइट? एंड आई थिंक दैट इज अगेन द मेजर प्रॉब्लम विद एवरीवन हु विल गेट इनटू कॉलेज, बिकॉज फर्स्ट ईयर तो कैसे कट जाता है लोगों को पता भी नहीं चलता है, एंड यू आर लाइक ओ नो फर्स्ट ईयर तो खत्म हो चुकी है, राइट? सो व्हाट वुड यू ब्रेक इट डाउन एज, क्योंकि आपने थर्ड ईयर से स्टार्ट किया, सो मे बी इफ यू कैन टेल ऑल आवर लर्नर्स एंड एस्पिरेंट्स कि हाउ शुड दे स्टार्ट ensuring that their notes are correct right from first year and hope कि वो first year से करने लगे. So what would you suggest, how to do it?
So I think initially 2-3 months we all should give ourselves to adjust in the new environment, make friends and learn how everything happens. One should not miss classes. We should be regular in class because they teach a lot of things. We remember it from class itself. The dissection hall, practicals, everything is equally important. Just reading theory is not sufficient. Especially also in PG exam we have certain questions which were asked from our practicals which we had read 5 years ago, but we were able to recall it because I could just remember the residents speaking all that. So that is very important. And apart from that, whenever you're reading standard textbooks, just keep writing down separately. I would suggest to make online notes if you have an iPad because that's easy to revise, edit later on. You will like to add a lot of stuff later on, questions and everything. So it's easy to edit in iPad.
Okay. तो एक चीज़ मुझे बताइए, जो notes आप what you're mentioning also, would you used to make it in class only, or you used to go back and do more of a revision of what happened in class and then make your notes?
In the class I used to focus on looking at the PPT and trying to remember as much as I can rather than making notes, and we used to get most of the slides later on as a PDF. So after that I used to mainly use my textbooks only.
Understood. So अभी एक चीज़ और मुझे बताइए आप कि you mentioned that notes third year से आपने बनाना शुरू किया था, but still by the end of it when you finally appeared for your PG, how much of notes do you think you had actually gathered? Because बहुत लोग क्या करते हैं, which is also as suggestions, कि notes को notes की तरह बनाओ, don't make it into another textbook,
yeah.
right? So at the end of it, आपके notes कितने थे and how concise did you make it and how did you make it concise?
So third year onwards I was using mainly marrow notes for the clinical subjects. So they are very vast, but one time it is important to read everything so that you get a conceptual understanding of the subject. But since they are not revisable, you have to concise it in your own way basically. So like in my first revision, I had them online. So I started using purple highlighter to mark all the things which I felt I would read in the second revision. So in the second revision, I read only the purple marked parts, and from there also the things I felt I will still forget, the most volatile parts, I took screenshots and made separate albums. And towards the end, I just revised those screenshots for every subject. So I had like 40-50 photos for every subject I revised in the end.
Great. So मतलब finally आपके सारे notes were concised into 40-50 screenshots
for each subject.
For each subject, perfect. So and total में 19 थे आपके,
Yes.
right? But that's still a lot to go through, right?
Yes.
But I think the exam itself, we all know, is a super difficult one. It's a very vast syllabus which is involved in it. But I think the way that Vanshika just explained also, वो काफ़ी concise हो जाता है. And the good thing I think about having it on a mobile phone is कभी भी आप if you're resting, if you're lying down on your bed, you can still keep
Yes.
browsing it, right? So that's a great way of doing things. एक चीज़ what I wanted to understand, आपने हमें बताया while you were attempting your paper, there's not much time जो बचता है, right? तो आपको सब जल्दी जल्दी करना पड़ता है. तो कितने टाइम में आपने अपना पेपर ख़त्म कर लिया था? And how confident were you कि मेरा कितना कितने सही जाएगी, कितने गलत जाएगी? How confident were you?
So during the paper, I did not think about anything like that. I was just aiming to attempt maximum questions. I attempted around 192, 193 questions, and I had 5 minutes remaining in the end to review the questions that I had written.
Understood. So tell me this: once the paper was done, you submitted it, you went back. How confident were you कि मेरी तो rank आने वाली है इसमें?
The paper went well, and I talked to my friends also. So after just talking to them at the center only, I felt that I might get a good rank, a decent rank in top 100. I'd never expected a single-digit rank, to be honest. So my parents were waiting for me at the center, and they asked. I said it went fine, it went good, and I just don't want to study now. Let me enjoy. I don't want to think about the paper.
तो सबसे पहले क्या किया आपने after the paper?
So first I called my sister Kanupriya. So she always cheers me up. So she asked me how the exam was. I shared some details with her. And after that I went back to my hostel, and we all went out for a party.
Great. तो मतलब ये नहीं कि बैठ जाओ मैं कि आंसर्स चेक करूँ कितने सही हो सकते हैं कितने गलत, किया ही नहीं वो.
Actually our seniors only recommended, since the result comes out in only 6 to 7 days, so we should not look at the recall questions because it creates unnecessary anxiety and you feel bad for attempting questions wrongly. So just wait for 1 week. So actually my friends and I, we went on a trip to Jim Corbett that time. Wow. Before the result, so that we can distract ourselves.
So let me tell you, आपने पहले अपने एम्स के UG डेज के फन टाइम्स के बारे में कहा, पार्टी के बारे में कहा. You need to share all these images with us. I'm sure all our learners would love to see what all you all did in this entire time, right? Okay. So एक चीज़ हमें ये बताइए कि एग्ज़ाम जब आपने दे भी दिया था, and the reason I'm going on asking you this is because we do have a lot of students जो अभी भी UG की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, right? So tell me, जब ये एग्ज़ाम जो आपने ये कॉन्फिडेंस के बारे में जो बात भी की, how do you think you were more confident in this exam compared to your UG exams, or do you think it was vice versa?
I think I was more confident this time because during my UG, my sole focus was on cracking NEET exam. I did not really focus on AIIMS because I just felt it was a matter of luck. But now I was very focused on getting AIIMS again because I didn't want to leave the institute. So my preparation was better, I feel.
Great. So I think इस बार आपका goal was way more focused,
yes,
because it's just one that you were aiming for. That's where you had to be, you wanted to be, right?
Yes.
Cool. तो एक अगर मैं आपको पूछ लूँ, again now because you have become one, someone जो as a motivator, guidance बन जाते हैं for all our younger audience. तो if you had to give a message to all of them to explain कि ये जो motivation होती है, how to keep that up and how to work towards that one goal, क्या suggest करोगे आप from your own life learnings?
So I've always believed in consistency because that's what transforms average into excellence. So it's a long journey, it's tough at times, it's lonely at times, but we need to keep going because we'll only know whether we won or we lost if we try. And more important than trying is to actually keep trying. So if there isn't a dead end, there has to be a path. It may be short for some, long for the others, but trust me, the destination will be worth it and it will be beautiful. So just trust the process and keep going.
Okay, so Vanshika, एक last question रह जाता है मेरा because I think we've pretty much touched everything, the entire journey. यहाँ पे we made you relive your entire college days and looking forward to what's going to come even more about Vanshika. I'm gonna keep a watch out for that. पर एक चीज़ जो मैं समझना चाहती हूँ because you said 2 months more is left of your internship and I know that this entire training जो आपने की भी थी was during your preparation की training जो आपने की थी was the entire time with your internship.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, internship के time में village postings है, you all are doing work, you all are you're prescribing medicines, you all are helping at labor, probably like sometimes you all might not have internet connectivity and all of that. तो उस वक्त में how do you balance your internships along with your preparation?
It depends on the posting. Like in the village, we got around 4 to 6 hours daily to read. So I made it a point to sleep properly at night so that I don't have to come back and sleep after the posting. And after the posting, I used to start studying with my friends. So we have library in the village as well. So we used to go to the library and read over there. And after that, the other postings were not so hectic as compared to village. So there I got more time. So I used to read about 6 hours a day. And that's it. That's how.
तो मतलब बैलेंस हो जाता है if you really try to strike a balance, right? Because I'm just trying to understand क्योंकि जब आपकी जो internships जो चलती भी है वो कितने घंटों की होती है the work that you need to do?
So village is like a 9 to 5 job and the other postings it depends, like we are supposed to take samples and everything, so it depends, we get free by the afternoon.
Okay, but village में usually जब होती है it's 9 to 5 that you all are doing and उसके
And
बाद
we also have emergency duties over there, so 24-hour duties in PHCs and 12-hour duties in CHCs. So that days we weren't able to study, so whenever I used to get time between patients I used to solve the Q bank or something.
Understood. So ये internship आपने कहा this happens in the 5th year, right? The internship.
Yes, after 4.5 years.
After 4.5 years. So I think that's the reason why it's super critical कि जितना भी ज़्यादा part है आपको cover करने का from the theory also, वो आप अपने 3rd and 4th के starting year में complete कर दो, correct? Would that be a good suggestion?
Yes, you must do that because even the professional exams are very easy to crack with those notes.
Okay. Understood. So and this thing that you mentioned that you used to keep frequently giving tests. तो कितने total tests आपने दे दिए होंगे before your actual exam?
I gave around I think 7 to 8 GTs.
Okay. And these 7 to 8 GTs में what was your usual score that was coming?
So my baseline rank was around 2300, I don't remember correctly, but something in 2000s. And because that time I had just completed my first and second prof subject. So just after returning from village, I took that exam. After that, when I started revising my clinical subjects and doing the previous year questions, my rank improved. And then I would consistently stay in the top 50s.
Wow. So 2000s के rank से you started coming till 50s and then final, we all know about it, is a single digit rank 7. How lucky is rank 7 for you now? So okay, quickly, I think बहुत सारी बातें हमने पढ़ाई को लेके कर ली and you have helped so many of our aspirants. I'm sure all of them are looking up to you and already imagining this could be me, in a few years. So we'll quickly get into one fun section which is there. I hope you remember from the last. It is our rapid fire round जहाँ पे I am going to ask you some questions. आप वैसे ही rapid बोलते हो, so rapid fire should be a very quick round for you. So are you ready for your questions?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. If given a choice to go into any year of history, which year would you like to go back and why?
Second year.
Okay, and why would you want to go back there?
Because I think I was very well settled in college by that time. I knew how to, approach the exams, how to study, and I had a good set of friends. So I was having a nice time.
Till then you had become a pro.
Actually, third year we had COVID, so second year was the best.
Okay. If I was to say ki, if I give you a pack of crayons and I say ki, Vanshika, this one of the colors from here is you, which one is you and why?
Purple, definitely.
Don't tell me it's South Korea. What is it for?
Nothing specific. I really like all shades of purple. My hostel room is also entirely purple. All the curtains, my bed sheet, even my night lamp is purple. So I'm obsessed with purple.
Okay, great. I'm sure there'll be a lot of learners who will now like you just for the choice of color. Okay. If I was to give you an option to, either look forward 10 years from now as to what you are doing, or I give you an option to probably go and see currently anyone that you really want to spy on, abhi filhal kya kar raha hai, what would you like to choose?
I think I would like to see myself after 10 years so
Okay.
that I know how much I have to grow, what all I'll do. So it'll help me in planning better.
Okay. And now that, as you mentioned right in the beginning, you've gone really matured now. If you had to give a suggestion or an advice or a life advice to say 15-year-old Vanshika, what would you be suggesting to her?
Don't take too much stress.
बहुत stress लेते थे आप जब आप छोटे थे? Okay. And do you think उसकी वजह से it's impacted something for you?
It's both negative and positive, I feel. So I've become very less stressful personality compared to what I was in 11th, 12th especially. But yeah, it does give you more motivation to keep studying, but at the same time, we need to live the moments. So
Great.
I think I learned that in college. So these 5 years, I have lived to the fullest.
Chaliye. So since you mentioned live to the moments, I shall give you something to live for this moment. This is something small here from the entire team of Chamomile Tea with Toppers,
Thank
an
you so
initiative
much.
of One Academy, and this is for you. Muh meetha karne ke liye. I hope you like a lot of meetha. I know you're a doctor. I don't know if that is the right thing that you all should be suggesting, but that's a lot of meetha. But I'm
Thank
sure
you.
this is an occasion which calls for it. Cool. So now that we are done with all of this, we've got that moment. Ek last request aapse jo main karungi is that if you could give out one message or one liner, not one line actually, थोड़ा लंबा भी बोल सकते हो आप, but one message that you would like to give to all the aspirants, चाहे वो medical exams की preparation कर रहे हैं, UG, PG, engineering, anything, medical, I don't know, maybe any examination, maybe school examinations, what is that one message that you would like to give to all of them?
I would like to say that success does not happen overnight. It's a long journey. There are many ups and downs. We should not be overwhelmed by the challenges that we face. We just have to focus on growth. So even if on one test you do not get a nice rank or score, don't look at that absolute rank. Just focus on progress. Try to learn from your mistakes and do better and better each time. And discipline is very important from the start itself. One must be disciplined and consistent and never be too hard on yourself. All the best.
Thank you so much. I think that should be a very good lesson for everyone, and हर कोई जो ये video देख रहा है, we really hope that if you're preparing for any examination or even if it's your school examination, then you do very well in it. Just remember, as she mentioned, discipline, consistency, self-motivation, very very important, and you will achieve it. And जो भी होता है अच्छे के लिए होता है, ये हमेशा याद रखना. So whatever happens, life will figure out, just like it figured out for her too. So don't stress, just as she suggested. She used to stress a lot, but she's in a much better place now, and she regrets stressing so much. So आप भी stress मत करना. Take life as it comes. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental and physical health, not just physical. Okay. So on that note, Vanshika, बस एक last चीज़ जो रह जाती है हमारी, which is a tag a topper or a friend. So since you mentioned there were a lot of your friends who gave the exams together, who would be that one topper you would like to tag so that we could invite them for the next episodes?
Sankeet, he was my quizzing partner, and we made a strategy for preparing for INI CET together from the beginning itself. So,
And what rank did he achieve?
second.
Wow, great. So, as you just heard Vanshika, we'll be waiting eagerly to meet you here on the sets of CTwT. So until then, stay tuned. Our team will be reaching out to you. So thank you, Vanshika. That is all from my side today.
Thank you.
बहुत ही अच्छा लगा आपसे वापस मिलकर. And I just hope in a few years again we hear a lot of things about you and we just keep seeing you progressing forward even more. Okay?
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for joining us
Thank
today,
you.
and I wish you all the very best for your
Thank
future.
you.
Thank you.